Hello, welcome to Capital Sensei. Today, we're gonna break down one of the most powerful mental models for understanding wealth and personal finance, Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow Quadrant. We'll explore the 4 distinct ways people earn money, represented by the letters E, S, B, and I. More importantly, we'll uncover the profound differences in mindset, risk, and strategy that separate those who work for money from those who have their money work for them. This isn't just about your job title. It's about the very system you use to generate income. Whenever we can, we answer questions in the comments. The concepts we're discussing today can bring up a lot of personal questions and reflections. So please, feel free to share your thoughts, your doubts, and even your own financial journey in the comments below. Your story could be the very thing someone else needs to hear, and it helps all of us build a community of learners. Let's start with the basics. Imagine a simple cross drawn on a piece of paper, creating 4 squares or quadrants. In the top left, you have the letter E. Bottom left, the letter S. Top right, the letter B. And bottom right, the letter I. E, S, B, I. According to Kiyosaki, every single person who earns an income fits into one or more of these quadrants. It's a map that shows the source of your money. It's not about how much you earn, but how you earn it. This is a critical distinction that many people miss. The left side of the quadrant, containing E and S, is where the vast majority of people live. The right side, with B and I, is where the truly wealthy operate. The fundamental difference between the two sides isn't talent or intelligence in the academic sense. It's about financial literacy, mindset, and your relationship with 2 very important concepts: security and freedom. The left side chases security, while the right side builds for freedom. Let's dive into the top left quadrant, E for employee. The core value of an employee is security. The mantra of the E quadrant is, I'm looking for a safe, secure job with good pay and benefits. This is the path most of us are taught to follow from a young age. Go to school, get good grades, and find a stable job at a good company. There's nothing inherently wrong with this, but it's crucial to understand the rules of this game. As an employee, you have a job. You are trading your time and your skills for a paycheck. You work a set number of hours, and you receive a salary or an hourly wage in return. The main advantage is predictability. You know, with a fair degree of certainty, how much money will hit your bank account every 2 weeks or every month. This predictability provides a feeling of safety, which is highly valued by those in the E quadrant. However, the downside is a complete lack of leverage. Your income is directly tied to the time you put in. If you want to earn more, you typically need to work more hours, get a promotion, or find a higher paying job. But there are only so many hours in a day. You are, in essence, a single cog in a much larger machine. And if you stop working, whether due to illness, layoff, or retirement, the income stream stops. You are running on a hamster wheel. A very comfortable one, perhaps, with a nice water bottle and good quality pellets, but you don't own the wheel. From a tax perspective, the E quadrant is the most disadvantaged. Employees earn their income. The government takes its share first through payroll taxes, and then the employee gets to live on what's left. It's the classic definition of paying yourself last. The entire system is structured to take taxes from you before you even see the money. This is a key reason why it's so difficult to build significant wealth solely as an E. Now, let's move down to the S quadrant, which stands for self-employed, small business owner, or specialist. These are the doctors with their own practice, the lawyers who hang their own shingle, the freelance graphic designers, the consultants, the real estate agents, and the corner store owners. Their core value is independence. Their mantra is, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. People in the S quadrant have left the corporate structure behind because they wanted to be their own boss. They believe their skill or service is the best, and they don't want to answer to anyone else. They are perfectionists, and they value control. They aren't just a cog in the machine anymore. They are the machine. They get paid for what they personally do, and often at a much higher hourly rate than an employee. This sounds like a step up, and in many ways, it is. You have more control over your work and your time. However, the S quadrant contains a dangerous trap. While you've escaped having a boss, you haven't escaped the time for money exchange. In fact, you've often just bought yourself a job, and a much more demanding one at that. You are still the central pillar of the entire operation. Think about it. A freelance web developer might make a fantastic living, billing at $200 an hour. But what happens when they go on vacation? The billing stops. The income stops. What happens if they get sick? The business grinds to a halt. The S quadrant is often the most grueling of all. You're responsible for marketing, sales, accounting, customer service, and delivering the actual product or service. You're the chief cook and bottle washer. Your business owns you. You don't own it. From a tax standpoint, things are a bit better than for an E. You have more opportunities for deductions and write-offs. You can deduct business expenses before you calculate your taxable income. But at the end of the day, you are still primarily earning active income, income that requires your direct personal effort. You stop working, the money stops flowing. This is the fundamental characteristic of the entire left side of the quadrant. Now, let's cross the Great Divide to the right side of the quadrant. This is where the rules of the money game change completely. We start at the top right with the B quadrant, which stands for Big Business Owner. The core value here is wealth creation through systems. A person in the B quadrant has a fundamentally different mindset from someone in the S quadrant. The S says, if you want it done right, do it yourself. The B says, if you want to build something huge, find people who are smarter than you in specific areas and build a great team. What's the difference between an S quadrant business and a B quadrant business? Kiyosaki offers a simple but powerful rule of thumb. A B quadrant business has 500 or more employees and a system that can run without the owner's constant presence. The key test is this. Can you walk away from your business for a year, and when you come back, find it more profitable and running better than when you left? If the answer is yes, you are in the B quadrant. If the answer is no, you are likely in the S quadrant. Think of Kroc and McDonald's. He didn't invent hamburgers. He wasn't the best burger flipper in the world. He was a master of building a business system. He created a replicable, scalable model that could be operated by people with average skills to produce a consistent result, time and time again, all over the world. The B quadrant owner doesn't focus on doing the work. They focus on building the system that does the work. Their job is leadership, not management. They orchestrate the symphony. They don't play every instrument. They leverage other people's time, or OPT, and often other people's money, or OPM, to build their enterprise. Their income is not tied to the hours they personally work. It's tied to the effectiveness of the system they have created. This is true passive income. The business is an asset that generates cash flow, whether the owner is on the beach in Bali or in a boardroom in New York. The tax advantages here are immense. The B quadrant operates under a completely different set of rules. They earn money through their corporation. The corporation spends money on all its expenses, including salaries, equipment, and research, and then they pay taxes on whatever profit is left over. They earn, spend, then pay tax. The E quadrant earns, pays tax, then spends what's left. It's a complete inversion, and it makes all the difference in the world for wealth accumulation. Finally, we arrive at the bottom right quadrant, the I for investor. This is the destination, the pinnacle of financial sophistication. The core value of the investor is financial freedom. The mantra of the I quadrant is simply, how much is my money earning for me? People in this quadrant don't work for money at all. They make their money work for them. The I quadrant is where money is converted directly into more money, without the intermediary of a business system or a job. Investors use their capital to buy assets, things that generate more income. What are assets? They can be stocks that pay dividends, bonds that pay interest, real estate that generates rental income, or even equity in B quadrant businesses. The I is playing a purely financial game. Imagine planting a tree. An employee gets paid to water someone else's tree. A self-employed person owns a single, high-yield fruit tree that they must tend to constantly. A business owner builds a company that sells automated irrigation systems for entire orchards. The investor, however, simply buys the orchard itself and collects the revenue from the fruit sales, hiring the B quadrant's company to water it for them. It's important to understand that there are different levels of investors. Many people in the E and S quadrants are technically investors. They contribute to a retirement plan like a 401k or buy some mutual funds. This is a crucial first step, but they are often passive and unsophisticated investors. The true I quadrant player, as Kiyosaki describes them, is an active and sophisticated investor. They create deals. They use leverage, like taking on debt, to control large assets with a smaller amount of their own capital. They understand financial statements, market trends, and tax law better than anyone. Why? Because the tax laws are written to favor them the most. Governments need capital to fuel the economy. They need people to invest in new businesses, build housing, and fund infrastructure. So they create tax incentives like depreciation on real estate and lower tax rates for long-term capital gains to encourage I quadrant activity. This is the quadrant with the lowest tax burden of all, allowing wealth to compound at an astonishing rate. So let's put this all together with a single profession: a doctor. A doctor who works for a large hospital is an E. A doctor who opens their own private practice and works 80 hours a week is an S. A doctor who builds a chain of clinics, hires other doctors and a management team, and focuses on strategy and expansion is a B. And a doctor who uses the profits from their clinic chain to invest in medical technology startups or commercial real estate for other clinics is an I. Same profession, 4 completely different financial worlds. The journey from the left side of the quadrant to the right side is not about changing your profession. It is about changing your core values, your skills, and your mindset. Moving from E to S is a common path. People crave independence, but it can be a trap, leading to burnout. The real leap, the quantum leap, is from the left side, E or S, to the right side, B or I. To move from S to B, you must learn to let go of control. You must transition from a doer to a leader. You have to trust others and build systems that are bigger than you. This is an emotional and intellectual challenge. The perfectionist S has to be willing to accept that someone else can do the job 80% as well as they can, and that this is not only acceptable but necessary for growth. To become an I requires a different kind of education altogether. It requires what Kiyosaki calls financial intelligence. This isn't the same as being book smart. It's the ability to read financial statements, to understand how debt can be used as a tool, to analyze markets, and to see opportunities where others see risk. This education doesn't come from traditional schooling. It comes from self-study, from finding mentors, and from making small mistakes with small amounts of money until you learn the game. Now, you might be thinking, this is all great, but I'm an employee with a mortgage and kids. I can't just quit my job and start a 500-person company. And you're absolutely right. This isn't a call to be reckless. It's a call to be strategic. The path to the right side of the quadrant can be gradual. You can remain an employee while you start building a business on the side. You can remain an E or an S while you start learning to be an I. Every time you get a paycheck, you have a choice. You can spend it all on liabilities, things that take money out of your pocket, like a fancy car or consumer goods. Or you can take a portion of that income, no matter how small, and start buying assets. You can buy a single share of a dividend-paying stock. You can contribute to a low-cost index fund. You can save up for a down payment on a small rental property. Each dollar you put into an asset is a little soldier you're sending out to work for you. At first, you might only have a few soldiers, and their earnings will seem insignificant. But over time, as you keep sending more soldiers out, and as their earnings start to have their own babies, which is the magic of compounding, you begin to build a small army. An army that works for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether you're sleeping, working, or on vacation. This is how you begin to move from the left side to the right side. You start building a source of I quadrant income while still earning your E or S quadrant income. Eventually, if you are diligent and educated, there may come a day when your passive income from your I quadrant assets exceeds your monthly expenses. That, my friends, is the definition of financial freedom. It's the point where you no longer have to work for money. You can choose to work because you enjoy it, but the necessity is gone. Understanding this quadrant is like being given a map of a city you've been wandering around in blindly. Before, you might have just been trying to find a better paying street in the E or S neighborhood. Now, you can see that there are entirely different parts of the city, the B and I districts, where the architecture is different, the rules are different, and the opportunities are vastly greater. The first step is always awareness. Simply identify which quadrant is your primary source of income right now. There's no judgment in this, just an honest assessment. Where are you on the map? The second step is to decide where you want to go. Do you aspire to the freedom of the B and I quadrants? If so, your path becomes clearer. Your mission then becomes one of education. If you want to be a B, you need to study systems, leadership, and marketing. Read books by successful entrepreneurs. Learn about franchising, automation, and team building. If you want to be an I, you need to study accounting, investing strategies, and tax law. Learn about real estate, the stock market, and how to analyze a deal. You must learn the language of money. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It involves changing deeply ingrained beliefs about money that were likely passed down to you from your parents, who were probably also on the left side of the quadrant. Beliefs like debt is bad, or investing is risky, or just save your money. In the world of the right quadrant, calculated debt is a powerful tool. Not investing is the biggest risk, and saving money in the bank often means losing purchasing power to inflation. The emotional journey is just as important as the educational one. Leaving the perceived security of the E quadrant requires courage. It means facing the fear of uncertainty. Moving from the S quadrant requires humility. It means conquering the ego that tells you no one can do it better than you. These are not small hurdles. They are significant personal transformations. So, the cash flow quadrant is more than just a financial diagram. It's a tool for self-discovery. It forces you to confront your core beliefs about money, work, risk, and freedom. It gives you a framework for making decisions. The next time you consider a career move or a major purchase, you can ask yourself, is this moving me closer to the right side of the quadrant, or is it anchoring me more firmly on the left? This is not a guarantee of riches. Plenty of people fail in the B and I quadrants, but they fail for different reasons. They fail because of a bad system or a bad investment, not because their time ran out. And on the right side, failure is often seen as a learning opportunity, a tuition payment for a valuable lesson. The goal is to develop the financial literacy to recognize good systems and good investments, and to manage the inherent risks intelligently. In the end, the choice is yours. You can remain on the left side, trading your life hours for dollars, seeking security within a system someone else built. Or you can begin the journey to the right side, but journey of building and investing, of creating systems and assets that work for you, ultimately leading to a life of greater financial choice and freedom. Understanding this quadrant is the first and perhaps most important step on that journey.